wanted to share how far deep and wide the letters begin to transition and to start looking. Because the languages are written in a type of shorthand. And if you don't know that it's written in a shorthand and you don't know there's a code, then you're never going to know that you need to be translating this additional information in it. But in some regards, it doesn't need to be. And this is why the oral tradition is not what they've said it is, because they the other of us, that are keeping this from the rest of us, is due to the power of the nature that is found within the language itself. If we were being taught this when we were children, by the time we got to the age of adulthood, we wouldn't need to have such choppy way of looking at it. In other words, by seeing the letter Aleph and seeing the depth of it, all of that would have already be in your subconscious program. So every time you saw an Aleph, that information, that frequency of all that information would just already be there. It would be something that you'd be pulling from in a foundational piece that you don't directly need to recall. Like you don't have to go, oh yeah, what was that? I mean, you already know it. As soon as you see the symbol, bam, the energy signature is there. And this is why being able to raise children up in it, it's so profound for them, because by the time they get into the adulthood and they're actually going through the scriptures, they're able to pull all of this up, and it's not work for them anymore. You know, it's a way of life. It's a way of being. And so it's not a religion. God knows we don't need any more religion. It's a way of being and living and doing as family. That's why I was sharing with you about the bet, why it's important. The bet is about building family and how you build love. Yay, it's off. Yay. So part of what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw for you a diagram on the board, and we're going to look at it, but then I'm going to have to take you through, we're going to have to do like a secondary half of this, and I'm going to have to take and show it to you on the screen, because I'm going to show you how much information is in it, but I don't want to handwrite everything on the board. It'll be way too long, take up way too much time, and I want to be smarter about how I do things. So we're going to take a look at the letter Aleph. So the letter Aleph, we know, is, as you guys have seen, is strength, leader, ox, strong.
Yeah.
It's also the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it is known as spirit breath, or known as the breath of God. Did you seriously? Okay. Oh, well, there we go. I guess it's in the air. So with this, I'm going to do two things. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do, we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to show you the parts. I'm going to show you the moving parts, and then we're going to diagram it so you can see how far, wide, and deep it goes. Okay. Some of this you may have already known, but this is a good reminder for us to look at it, because in the construction of the letters, there's even codes in the construction of the shape of the letters. Like, why did they change in time? Why did they morph to a different structure? Our consciousness has changed. And so in the consciousness changing, the symbols change to match the levels of consciousness that we've got in. And hence why we're now seeing the morphing of the merging of the Hebrew and the Aramaic back into one. Because it was always meant to be just the Aramaic, and then it got separated into the two distinct languages, and then Aramaic was shoved to the side and Hebrew became the forefront, but it's very masculine in form, where the Aramaic is really flowy, which is the essence of the unseen that fills the form. So when we look at the Aleph is constructed of an upper yod, a lower yod, with a vav.
Wait, you said an
upper yod? There's a yod here, the letter yod here, and there's a lower yod.
Oh, that's what that is. So if
you were to draw this in a linear fashion, you would see this in its parts.
Yod, Y-O-D.
Mhm.
No.
There's a Bob in the middle.
Yep, that's a Vav, and those are two little yods. So when we see it in this Vav is separating an upper yod and a lower yod. Remember we were talking about how in the essence and the form of who we are, we have our higher self, we have our lower self, and then we have that which is walking on the terra on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the lower yod represents our shadow, all the things that we think are abominable about ourselves that we don't want to see, that we don't want other people to see, but is very much from the childhood woundings. So another way that you could look at this, that lower yod is really your inner child that is stuck in its traumas, in its woundings. The upper yod is your higher self in your ascended state. The trouble with the two of them is the two of them war, and you get caught in the middle. So you are the Vav, you are the 6. These represent the Gematria of the letters. So, because every letter has a Gematria, the Aleph itself equals 1. It's indivisible. It is. It's 1. Can't divide it. Although in the physical representation of the symbol itself, it's been divided. What this is showing us from the very beginning is that it was never meant to be divided, because the Vav means to connect. Connect the upper vision and the lower vision together so that you can become 1. Connect your higher self and your lower self together so you can become 1. So what happens when we don't, we blow it out. So we get the Vav and we get the yod over here and we get the yod over here. And we're totally disconnected from unifying ourselves. This is Hillel, and this is Lillah. This is the day, and this is the night. What's really profound about this? They have the same exact letters. So I'm going a little bit deeper and breaking down the Aleph because I want to show you the depth and the riches of one flipping single letter. And why, when you get all of this in you, every time you see this letter symbol, it's already within the place of the heart, it's germinating. Because it's meant to produce new life in you. So every time you put another letter in, you're compressing light, and it's a seed of life that begins to bring new life in you, one letter at a time. So even if you're at the stage of mother's teaching, which is the most painful because it's the memorization of the letters, it's, you know, the shapes and the meanings, and it doesn't really feel like you're going anywhere. That's because we have a wrong frame of reference as to why we're doing it. You are giving yourself the raw building blocks that are beginning to compress light within you so that the words can come see you in the evening when you sleep. All of a sudden you have all those building blocks, as you've got the Aleph in you, you've got the Bet, you've got the Gimel, you've got the Dalet, and then the words will begin to form and present themselves to you because you have it. It's like, how do I say this in another way? When people channel, when they channel from a higher spirit, their higher self, and they're channeling information, that information is only going through the filter of that which has been put into the vessel. It can only be communicated because when you channel, channels are frequencies that are coming in that have no words. It's the mind that then takes that information, that frequency, that vibration, that light, and then has to put it into words that can be understood in order to be and have an understanding. So if the vessel doesn't have the raw material to do something with it, then that information has to be decoded in a way that the mind can absorb what those frequencies are saying. And sometimes it gets limited. I've always questioned and wondered, the woman who channeled the law of one information from Ra, what it would have been like had she had the basic building blocks of the Hebrew language. Because you can see that there's some bleed over in that, because the word Adonai, they use the word Adonai. You know, I leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator, Adonai. Well, why would it be Adonai? Why are they using Adonai? Because there's something about the value of the Hebrew language. And she at least had that in her memory banks, because you hear that, you read that, you know that from the Bible and being in church, but nothing could really be said in the depth that it was probably would love to have been translated up to us, because she didn't have the raw code. She didn't have the building blocks. These are the building blocks that you guys are getting. And that's why the frequency, if the words show up and come to you at night, they have something that they can, just like building material. You know, go to a construction site and you get your lumber package delivered. You can't do anything until the lumber gets put, and then you can't do anything with the lumber unless foundation is poured, right? So we're doing foundational pieces here, but I'm giving you a little bit more of a tidbit to bring some excitement of the depth of it. You know, and why everything is technically everything is summed up in 2 letters, the Aleph and the Tav. Everything, the entire message is summed up in 2 letters. With the Aleph being the unification of everything, the all of the all.
The Aleph and the Tav.
The Aleph and the Tav, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. You guys would know this is the Alpha and Omega.
Okay.
Because that's the Greek words for the Aleph and the Tav, is Alpha and Omega. So getting back to this, to the day and the night, to the unification of one, Hillel is day. This is day. This is the illumination. This is the light. So when Ken always says to go to the right-hand path, he's talking about introducing you to Hillel, the light. Hillel is a masculine energy. We know Hillel as presented through mother. Why is that? It's a masculine energy being presented by mother. Because everything is about balance. Everything is about balance. So Hillel with a masculine energy could only be presented by mother, because if mother was presenting mother, then it would be lopsided and there would only be one side of the equation, and there would be no way to connect the masculine and feminine energy together. It has to be presented in a balanced fashion, because everything outside of this distorted view in duality is balanced and unified. It only gets split when it gets into a system of duality. But it's always pointing to balance. So Hillel is the day. This has actually been translated in your Bible to Lucifer, just to let you know. It's also, was it the morning star, the bright morning star?
The bright morning star, yeah.
So Lucifer, Hillel, is attached to the bright morning star, but then in the book of Revelations, the bright morning star is connected to Yeshua.
It did sound like somebody came in this door just a while ago, or no? Okay. Dude. Morning star.
So the morning star, Hillel, is Yeshua, is Lucifer. This is what happens when information is being presented to you and they twist it and distort it to keep you away from the truth. And then create an egregore, a thought form that takes on an energy, and then all of a sudden we got Lucifer that's doing all these evil bad stuff. Stay away from Lucifer. Okay, well, you're really saying stay away from the light. Stay away from Yeshua. One and the same entity, bringing light. Any enlightened being is a representation of Lucifer, is a representation of Hillel. This is your higher self. Your lower self is Lillah. And Lillah is not bad. See, Lillah has been given a really bad rap. It's called Lilith. The whole purpose of Lilith, this is the divine feminine aspect of your dark nature. And the reason why this is the way it is Lilith's job is to get your attention. Lilith's job is to like prophetically speak to you, to let you know that you have some woundings that need to be taken care of. Lilith is the comfort to your inner child. Lilith is the comfort to your inner child that is wounded. And this is why Lilith has no problem with all the deep, the dark, the dirty secrets that you don't want to know, is because that's where she's most comfortable. Because generally that's where all the woundings are, and that's where all the children are at. That they're literally, you know, we think about these children that are caught in these underground bunkers. As within, so without. What are we doing? We're trapping our inner child in these underground bunkers within ourselves because we're not willing to face them.
Yeah.
Yet they're screaming out to us to be released. As within, so without. So if we really want the children externally to be released, then we need to release our inner child from its own torment that we're not willing to pay attention to. So Lilith helps come to bring this, so that this blown apart Aleph that has now been separated, you could call this ego, can then be unified back together as one. But it takes the cooperation of all parts to make it happen. So we can't ignore all parts. We have to integrate all parts. So technically, all of us technically are and have multiple personalities. We have our higher self, we have our lower self, and then we have this terrestrial ego. We've all been disassociated somehow, especially when we ignore this. So here's the part of it that I think is interesting, because I'm going to take it into its unification phrase, or the reason why I was talking about the unification. Why did I put the Gematria up there? You don't have to answer that, but it's kind of like, well, why did you put the Gematria up there? It doesn't make sense. The Aleph in its moving parts of the higher self, lower self, and the terrestrial man that is to join them all together. When you add the parts together, 10 plus 10 plus 6 equals 26. Why is that important? Why is that important? Well, one of the things that you could say that through reduction math, you could say, well, it's important because 2 plus 6 equals 8. Do you guys know what 8 is? Spiritual number 8, what it means?
Infinity or something like that? Or?
Yes, it's an infinity sign, but it is also the letter for new beginnings. The letter 8 is new beginnings. So think about it through the creation week. You have the first 7 days. The 8th day is the beginning of the new week. So it's a representation of new beginnings.
Where do we get the 8 from? Sorry, I was taking
26 in reduction math, or what they call toroidal math, when you take and bring everything into single digits.
Oh,
2 plus 6 equals 8.
gotcha.
Okay. In Gematria, the letter or the number 8 is this symbol right here. The letter that means life. Chai, the head. This will make sense in a minute. I'm just giving you all the moving parts.
Cool.
Is that H-E? How do you spell head?
H-E-T or?
It's actually C-H-I-T.
Oh,
Okay. It's that CH, that guttural, like you're with a loogie. So we've got the letter that the esoteric meaning is life, but it also means to separate. Whoa, buddy.
Oh
I
God,
hate it.
I'm a huge cat.
I hate it when I miss a step. It's so embarrassing. Nobody look. Nobody look.
Oh, cat, bro.
All right.
I mean, that's like a little louder, dude. You're a cat, bro. How are you a cat and you do that?
All right. Poor buddy. And he's looking at us like, I don't care. I am the king of the house. Look at me. I want to be on video. Actually, he ducked his head. Maybe he's in shame right now.
Okay.
No, now he's looking at me. And then he's going to climb back down. Just don't make sense. Okay, back to the lesson. Thanks, Kat. So the letter het, the esoteric side, this is the hidden letter for life. This is the chai. I bring this into the equation because the number 26 is connected to this.
Yod, Shet, Vav.
It's actually a hey. It's actually a hey.
Oh, hey.
The separation.
Hey. Oh, okay.
And we already
Mhm.
discussed this. Do you remember what Yod Hey Vav Hey is? That should have given you a clue.
So with the
God. Why are you
gap.
saying God?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yod Hey Vav Hey.
Oh, hey.
Yod Hey Vav Hey. Okay.
And
So
Jesus is is Yod He, Shin,
yes,
Vav He,
yes,
and Shin is destroyer. And so Jesus is the Shin. to
he's the destroyer to the inverted matrix that keeps us separated.
So
I'm actually really glad that the dot connecting there.
destroy.
So I came
Sorry,
to
yeah.
I came to
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
a sword,
Vav
not peace.
He.
But if we don't comprehend what is trying to be destroyed, what's trying to be destroyed is our ego.
Here's the hay.
Okay, so wait, what did you pronounce over here?
The het.
So where's that?
No, that's
Oh.
Gematria.
Yeah. So this is the Gematria.
That's the root, right? Or
This
that's
is
or no, a different.
through
I
toroidal
see
math.
Chet.
Yes.
I
het.
do see. Oh,
It's
Chet.
het. It's
So
pronounced.
that's not the
het.
same.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's the het.
So,
Yeah.
There's a little gap on the
Het.
way.
This is het. So
And
through
then
the reduction
hey.
math of these numbers, it gets
Wall,
down to the
fence,
8.
oh, so that's
Separation.
what the difference. The het is a
The het.
closed door, and the
This one's
We gotta
open.
get-
Hay is above.
Okay.
is
Yes, and you guys will get that
behold,
when you.
reveal, breathe.
Yes. So
Okay.
the gematria of the yod is the 10. The gematria of the hay is 5. The gematria of vav is 6. The gematria of hay is 5. So in other words, yod hey vav hey is the Aleph. So to connect this to Hillel and Lillah, because Hillel and Lillah are literally the letters that make up the name Hillel and Lillah are the exact same. They're just in different orders. This is Hillel and this is Lillah. This is the masculine energy. This is the feminine energy. United as one. This is the process of unification. So when we see in the teaching structure, so I'm glad that you brought in the Yod He Shin Vav He, because we're in a matrix that's heavy patriarchy. The patriarchy has to be dismantled in order for the matriarchy and the patriarchy to join as one. So really what happens is Lillah comes in the dark night. So the dark night that we all go through, we're dealing with Lillah. We're dealing with the divine feminine energy that has come in and comforting that inner wounded child to say, let me nurture you, let me raise you up. Because really Lillah, Hillel, she is light. She's just in a different order so that she can enter into the dark as unseen, but she really is light. So she waits in darkness for you to discover her. She waits in hiddenness until you're willing to go into the depths of the darkness of your soul and discover her. And she's just waiting for you so she can take your hand and walk you through the dark to take you back into the light. Because she is Hillel. Lillah and Hillel are one. They just got divided because we live in duality. So in reality, what are we doing? We're bringing Hillel and Lillah back together because they've been separated. Every single one of us that is born in the dual nature, we have Hillel and Lillah that are separated from one another. And we're bringing them back into union because they chose to separate themselves in their frequencies to assist us as humanity. So in a patriarchy who diminishes Lillah and says, you are evil, you do not exist, you are the woman of the night, you're the one that steals baby souls, you're this and this, and making it evil, would keep people from ever seeing her. She is Hava. She is the mother of all living that was pulled out of mankind. Just connecting dots to what we've been sharing.
is that because she was pulled out, that's what's happening. But until we can,
until we are willing to do our shadow work, until we're willing to walk in the dark, the unknown, where the pain and suffering is of ourselves that we've been refusing to look at, we are never going to have full life. Life abundantly that it says that we're supposed to have does not happen until you take a hold of Lilith's hand and she walks you in and brings you out of the darkness back into full light. Because you've taken all the darkness and you've brought it right back here. You don't shame it, you don't guilt it, you don't abandon it. The reason why we have abandonment issues is because we've abandoned our own self. Through our dark side, we refuse to look at it. So that's why we always are triggered with people with abandonment issues, because that little child that we're abandoning, the shame and the guilt from the different conversations that we've been having, the things that happened when we were a kid, and we're like, oh, trust me, I have them too. And when I look at, I put so much shame on it, I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to, it's like, not going there. But I was really denying part of myself. I was rejecting myself. So the fear of rejection, the fear of abandonment is our own issue. And we just project it on everybody else. Don't leave me, don't abandon me. We've done it to yourself. So what do you expect? It's to get your attention. That little child is screaming, I need help. I need assistance. Somebody look at me, help me, help me. And then we just stuff it. Nope, I got triggered. High vibes, gotta stay high vibes. I laugh at it now because when you see the process of it, of what we've been doing to ourselves, we're creating our own torment because we allow ourselves to be split. We're the ones that are doing it to ourselves. If we realize that, we could stop tormenting ourselves by reuniting ourselves back into one. And then we'd have no more torment. And then Hillel and Lillah would again be reunited as husband and wife, as unified. And that's when the marriage takes place within us. So Yod He Vav He, this right here is the dividing point. This is mother and this is father. This is the divine masculine energy and this is the divine feminine energy. I in no way attach this to the narrative of the Bible that says that Yod He Vav He is the bloodthirsty God. If you look at the surface narratives, it's going to point that to you through translation. I'm talking about the deep, mysterious, intimate level of the language that is trying to get you to go deeper. So if you translate it that Yod He Vav He is a bloodthirsty God that is jealous and demands sacrifice, then you're going to never look that way. And you're going to think that the God of the Old Testament is not the same as the God of the New Testament, because in the English scriptures it makes it as so. But that doesn't mean that it is.
wow.
It means all of this is inside of you. This is what's going on inside of you. The external narrative does not exist. This is all in you. And this is where I am teaching or sharing from, is that perspective of the language. I could give a crap less about the surface narratives. When people want to come and they want to argue, well, what about this and the bloodthirsty God? And I want to have nothing to do with Yod He Vav He. I'm like, that's fine. But you're going to get to the point when you have to face your dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
And you're going to wish that you had the Yod He Vav He component, because without having those components, you're never going to be able to connect Vav to your shadow side. Therefore, you're never going to have the fullness of this, and you're never going to find life. This is why I brought all of this to the board to you, to show you all the interconnectedness of the moving mechanics of the first letter of the language that literally tells you the gospel story.
Wow.
What happened, how the separation happened, how to connect back, what it leads to life, the Yod He Vav He, the whole thing.
I think
right here in one letter.
Thank you. And I think if people were to see that, they wouldn't be saying what they're saying.
But, you know, the thing is, the ego loves stories. And remember, I was sharing with you guys about how one of the ways when we get taught when we're kids is that we're told stories. If you, yes, bless you.
Thanks.
If you were in Sunday school, how would they teach you? They would teach you through story. Let's talk about Noah's Ark and the animals 2 by 2 and Joseph got thrown in the well and this multicolored color. I remember the Bible stories that I was taught, and we'd have little cutouts and things to color, and God gave the rainbow, and so color in the rainbow, and stories are communicated to children. But at some point we need to grow up. And that may sound harsh, but it's truly the same thing. Even in the English scriptures, when Paul is exhorting us, you know, when I became adult, I put childish things away. The English narrative of the Bible as a story is a child's story.
Hmm. Okay, it's a child's story, but the narrative,
Meaning-
so
It's a
but the
narrative that
is
is,
all jacked though. So
that's
what
what I'm
is that?
saying.
So
You train somebody in a child's narrative that we know is jacked up. So you wonder why when we get an adult, we're all screwed up. Because you're teaching from a narrative that got twisted, that got contorted. There's two different gods. There's the Old Testament and the New Testament. This one's got to be thrown away, and this is the only one I pay attention to. But when you go back to the languages, the Hebrew and Aramaic, do you know how many gems are in the Old Testament? Considering it's like 3/4 of the writings that we are given as the Bible. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And that is the exact same language, that's the exact same writings that Yeshua studied and became as the Christed one. So to say that
Even
throw that
through-
away, even through
their misinterpretation of who God is.
the letters are the letters. I had someone say, someone that I'm tutoring, Heather, I just love her to pieces. She said to me that she realized that even though the message was contorted in English, the letters stay the same in the original language, and you can't twist that. A hey is a hey, has all that information. A bet has all that information. It's still right there. The interpretations can be manipulated because there's a lot of room for manipulation in that, especially when you have a paragraph of information, which leads me to the next section of the Aleph that I want to show you. So we were sharing and talking with how every single letter of the Hebrew and the Aramaic language has other letters that have come together to form it. So in English, the A is A, it's just an A. It's a symbol. It doesn't, nothing, it's just a symbol. A couple lines drawn and there you have an A. Has no meaning, has no letters that created it. This is what's important to comprehend in the language. In order for something to be created, there has to be an energy signature of like a mother and a father.
Are you recording?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
this
recording.
because
You
this.
stopped recording that.
Yeah, I'm recording, so we're good. That I don't know how well it's going to transfer with what I'm writing, but I'm recording. it
Yeah,
on
okay,
Zoom,
good.
So we can have it. So the Aleph, when we look at this, in order for this to become a living letter, it has to be created with masculine and feminine energy. So that's why I showed you the moving parts of the upper yod and the lower yod, the Hillel and the Lillah. They're meant to produce new life. So when this symbol was birthed, what had to happen is the other symbols had to come together. So it's like, what happened first, the chicken or the egg? What happened first?
That's that circle.
It is, exactly. Like on the circle, what point, what's before and what's after, when it's all is. These are the letters that created the Aleph. Aleph, Lamed, Pei.
Aleph, Lamed, what?
Pei. It's a Pei Sophite, so it's a fallen Pei. And that's got its own things, and we'll share that and bring that about later, but we don't need to confuse the subject for right now. So all of this information, and when you looked at your chart, you saw that we got strong, leader, first, right? Oxide. Lamed is, it's to instruct, teach, staff.
Authority.
Lamed staff teach to and from,
There you
shepherd staff
There you go.
teach to.
And the Pei,
And then the pay is mouth, speak, scatter.
okay.
Or pay, P-I,
Yeah, pay.
P-E-I?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
okay. So when we take a look at this, this can be a strong leader that's given the staff of authority that speaks. So
Mhm.
all of that information is actually in this symbol. This is why I say it's written in shorthand. Because even though you don't see this, doesn't
Yeah.
mean that it isn't. So
Right.
take a look at our, if we look dimensionally, this would be in the dimension that you don't see. So these symbols projected itself into a pinpoint frequency of the Aleph that manifested. But in the higher realms of what you don't see, it still exists. So the projection is the symbol. You don't see this, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You just can't see it. So we're talking quantum here. But this is where it starts dividing out. Because then you have the Lamed. The Lamed is spelled Lamed, Mem,
Oh my gosh.
Dalet.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
It just went unlimited.
Bingo.
And what are
Lamed, Mem, Dalet. So then, okay, so let's look at that. Now we've got the Mem. So the Mem is a Mem and a Mem Sophie. Oh, but we have the Dalet, which is a Dalet Lamed Hey that became, actually it started at Dalet Mem Lamed, then it went to a Dalet Lamed Hey, and then all of a sudden it became a Dalet Lamed Tav. So all of that information is in there now.
Okay.
There's a reason why I'm doing this. I'm trying to blow your mind here to see how much information does not get translated into English.
So Mem, and then what? And then Dalet?
It keeps going. It
Yeah, I know.
doesn't stop.
I just want to
So
get that one. Okay.
You got the Tav, you got a Tav Vav, but then you got the Vav, which is a Vav Vav.
Dude, let's
Oh,
go.
we got the Hey, we got a Hey Aleph. Oh, but that's also a Hey Hey.
Whoa.
Oh, but we forgot the Pei. The Pei can be a Pei, sorry, it would be in this position now. It can be a Pei Hey, or it can be a Pei Hey. All of this information is contained right here.
Wow.
In this symbol. We haven't even made a word yet. We haven't
Oh my
even
God.
made a word yet.
That's one letter to one word, like
When-
a word.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're raising a child, though, in this, you wouldn't diagram this out. Not when you first start teaching.
What was that middle one for the
The Lamed, Lamed Mem Dalet,
say that slowly.
Lamed
Yeah,
Mem
Amen.
Dalet.
Dalet.
Lamed, Med, Dalet. Okay.
I will, I'm gonna send you guys so that you have it. I've got an alphabet sheet that shows the spellings of all the symbols. So that you can have the spellings of each symbol and then you can continue breaking it apart. That'll be helpful for you.
It'd be kind of cool to practice doing that, building that
Of
out.
course.
Just so you can,
So you can get used to
yeah.
the pyramid effect. This is why I was sharing earlier with Jonathan about, here's the iceberg. I'm going to draw it this way intentionally.
Nice mountain.
But that's also an iceberg underwater.
Iceberg underwater. Ice mountain underwater. Dude.
So all of this, you don't see it.
Dude.
The only way you see this is if you deep dive.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this is scary because this is the unknown, right? Think about it. Water, we're not supposed to breathe underwater. That's some scary stuff there. You gotta have special equipment. So the special equipment is going through the initiation process so that you know that you're spiritually mature enough so you can handle the deep water. So that you have a breathing apparatus. The breathing apparatus is the spirit breath. Spirit. If you don't have the spirit breath, you cannot deep dive. You're going to live on the surface because you're going to be too afraid to see this, because what does this reveal? You. All of this underneath is you. Your ego is this. Your ego is the Aleph. It's just that. I'm not saying the ego is Aleph. I'm just saying this is the limited perspective of everything that's underneath. So if you want to see you, then you need to deep dive in all of the stuff that's been hidden from you. All the stuff that has been hidden from you and all the stuff that you refuse to see. Because it's always been there.
And as you journey, the water gets lower or the mountain gets higher, revealing the more of the fullness of who you are. Oh. Cool.
You are revealed.
Let's go.
But I'm not done yet.
You're setting us up. I knew it.
Always. Always.
Unlimited potential.
There you go. Here's the other portion of it. This is an actual word.
Okay.
This is an actual word.
Oh.
Oh.
And guess what words have? Meanings, definitions. So I just showed you the diagram of the letters themselves based on the basic Paleo meaning of each letter. But every single symbol that has the other constituent letters that make up the symbol is a word. These all have definitions as well. Guess what? All of those definitions go into the symbol.
Oh my God. I'm gonna be up all night tonight, geeking out.
So when we go into the sacred writings and we begin to look at one word, can you see how profound one word is and how just one word can shift you?
Yeah.
Just one word. This is just one letter. And
Oh
this is
my
why the
God.
foundation period, the foundation principle of mother is so important, because mother is giving you the raw instruments to build your form.
Mm.
Without them, you cannot build your temple. You're in chaos. You have no way to pour the concrete. And if you don't have the concrete, you don't have your foundation, you can't erect the walls, and you can't certainly put a covering over yourself. So then through mother's teaching, she gives you all of this, and you're learning along the way because you meditate on the Aleph and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so heavy and so cool and amazing. And I see it, it's the whole gospel message in just one letter. And then you get to do the same thing on the bet, and you get to trip out on the bet and the Gimel and the Dalet, and you go through the entire alphabet. And then what happens is you see the journey. So in the beginning, there was one. It was the essence of the unseen that was in and through everything, but it needed to experience itself. So it divided itself into two. I just moved into the bet. The bet was for the representation of family. But it needed to go and travel about, Gimel, on foot to experience.
Wow.
To be able to gather the waters of instruction that was going to raise it up. Because it had to go through a door, realizing that in its division, it became weak, it became feeble. Something became disconnected that made it ill. So it had to find out how to deliver itself. So it had to go seek revelation.
Something just rippled right.
Good.
Right.
Good.
It rippled.
So
Whoa.
in seeking revelation, when it was revealed on this journey,
Hey.
just needed to connect to it.
Sure.
I need to connect to it. But in the process of it, it's going to pierce me. But through this process, I'm getting fed. I'm getting nourished. I'm cutting off things that don't serve me. I'm plowing up stuff that's fallow on the inside.
Zayn.
Mhm. Because I was separated. I became separated from that Aleph. There was a fence that was separated me. It divided me. But, and it doesn't say it on there, this is how I find life. Because that's the hidden side of that letter, by the way. That's new beginnings.
Wow.
So in the process of finding life, I find myself in a basket. I'm surrounded. I'm cramped. I'm wrestling with the snake. I'm going round and round and round and round with my reptilian nature until a vision comes, until power is given to me. And why is power given to me? Because I stopped wrestling. I face what I'm wrestling instead of walking around in the basket, just going round and round and round in circles in a basket. A vision is given to me. A hand is reaching out to me to say, here you go. Here's the power, means, and direction that you need. But then I have to take my hand and I have to grasp a hold of it, because there's something that is being said to me that's bringing me revelation. And in the process of the giving and the receiving, this revelation that is leading me back into oneness unity the staff presents itself to me. Because I just had authority. Because I grasped the power, because I'm no longer wrestling in the basket with the snake. I went through the process. Vision was given. I grasped a hold of it. It was a power. The staff of authority was given to me. And with that staff, which is really my heart, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. I'll say it now. The staff, that lamed, is the center of the language. And anything that is in the center of the language, the center of anything, has to do with your heart. So in grasping a hold of that vision, the power, the authoritative teacher in my life is my heart. And by grasping a hold of that power, I can navigate the waters of chaos.
Whoa.
Because in the waters of chaos, I'm going to find the seed of life. And that seed of life, once I find it, is going to protect me. It's going to surround me. It's going to prop me up and support me.
It's so
And
cool
then-
watching.
Yeah,
That's why I'm doing this. This is
Oh
why
my
I'm saying
gosh.
this. So in that place where I just got surrounded and protected, propped up and supported, it's meant for me so that I can have the eyes to see. I was once blind, but now I see. Waking me up so I can see what's going on. And then once I see, then I'm given the authority to speak.
Pay.
Because I know what's going on and I can see it.
The maid pay.
But I had to go on a journey and I had to hunt and chase a few things. I had to chase it down. It wasn't given to me. I had to search for it. I had to look for it. I had to hunt. I had to find it. But when I did, through the circle of time, the horizon of the sun began to dawn. That which was once hidden is being revealed to me. So I can find the narrow path between the light and the dark. Some of that isn't on that list, by the way.
Yeah.
To raise me up to be a leader, to be a first. So that I can have the authority of the fire. I have teeth now. I can bite.
Shin. Jesus.
That is
God.
the quintessence. That is the tetra.
Ye are gods.
Yeah, this is the pentagrammaton. By the time you get here, you are the pentagrammaton. You are Yod Hey Shin Vav Hey. And when you get to that place, and you go through all the steps, and you allow that fire to purify yourself and to chew away all the stuff that doesn't matter anymore, you just get marked with the sign of completion. I completed my journey. That is the power of the language. That is the power from the Aleph Tav. I just told you the entire spiritual journey.
Dude, that was
And that's what
amazing.
Mother teaches. So when you raise up a child in the way the child should go, and you teach them that Aleph through the Tav, and you raise them up through the spiritual language, they know exactly where they are by that which is happening in their life. Are they stuck in the basket? Are they stuck in the basket? Because I'll tell you, many people get stuck in the tent because they need to make a choice. Power is being waiting to give to us. So you can
good.
talk to anyone.
So good.
You can have a conversation with them and you know where they are in the journey. You want to be able to prophesy to people, spend some time with them, see where they are, use the language. I see where you're at. You're waiting for a vision to come to you so you can grasp a hold of it. So that you can have authority over the chaotic waters in your life right now, because you're in a real pickle. So what I would be doing if I were you, I would be searching for that vision and waiting for it to be granted to you, because you need it. You need a new vision.
That was
So it's magic. Magic means help. There's a reason why they use these languages for magic, because of the authority and the power, because the vibrational frequency that is in the letters affect matter. So when we enter into a priesthood of light, there's actually a one step past the Melchizedek. And then I'm going to stop here. And then we can go into these later. I'll show it to you. I'll pull it up and show you all the different words that Aleph forms.
Dude, as you were given this thing, that was
That just brought that to life.
Exactly. That was
Instead
the
of it
whole
being
point. I
like,
wanted you to
"Oh."
see the journey.
You know, you did a great job.
Yeah, that was
You did. That was
excellent.
beautiful. That was, yeah. Can you send that little
Superb.
clip to me?
Absolutely.
Or all of it, and I can, yeah, that.
Superb, excellent.
It's like, dude, my heart for
I
my
will.
kids. I'm just thinking about my kids, and just like, I'm like, dude, this is gonna help them. Like, just sharing this is just, you know.
The biggest thing is, I'm gonna finish up. with
Anyways,
this.
yeah,
No,
yeah, we can go back to
no,
that, or-
I want to go with what you're saying. The biggest thing is with your children is your enthusiasm for what you're doing
Mm.
and inviting them to join you.
Yeah.
Not telling them this is what we're going to do. Inviting them to join you as a family. This is the one thing that I honor Zarin and Vanessa. In fact, their interview, I'm going to release it on the 18th. And I would highly recommend listening to it because they're talking about what it was like to introduce the language to their kids
Awesome.
and what they're doing as a family with it. I mean, I cried many times during that
Oh,
because it was
cool.
always my heart vision to see it. Because what it does is it unites families. It's the letter bet. Let's build family. You know, Zarin is like, okay, so I know I'm supposed to express love, but how can I express love if I don't know what love is? Well, guess what? The letters define to you what love is. And then you have to build it. You have to build love.
What a great foundation.
Bingo. What about here? I'm going to take it one step. I'm going
know?
to take it one step further. Mother's teaching Yod-Hey is to get you to the place where you are accountable to get you ready for marriage. It's bride training. So when you are raising up a child in bride training, yes, does this transition to spiritual? Yes. Is spiritual connected to the natural? Yes, they're one and the same. You can't split the two. So when you train up a child in the spiritual language of maturation, you are setting up your child to have a successful marriage. Because by the time they go through the Aleph Tav, they know themselves because it reveals you. How amazing is it to go into a relationship with somebody else already knowing you, already knowing me? I already married my parts. So in other words, I don't need you to be my spouse. I get to choose you. I don't need you to strengthen me because I found the Samek. I found the strength that supported and propped me up. I don't need you. I choose you. So if we have all these families, okay, so mother's teaching gets you to the age of 12, which means you're now accountable for all your stuff. All the crap you do. I am responsible. Did I screw up there? Yeah, I did. I need to clean my mess up. So it teaches children responsibility. They are responsible. So your children with the clothing allowance, you were mother. Guess what? I taught you and I'm teaching you responsibility. I gave you a clothing allowance. We agreed upon this. You decided to spend it on something else. You think I'm going to give you more money when we already agreed on this? And you said, okay. Oh, I want it now. Well, you're responsible for that. So I guess you're going to go to school in the same clothes that you had last year. Is it going to make you think a little bit different? Yeah, it's going to make me, I'm going to be responsible for that which is being given to me. So they get to that place of accountability, then they get into the deep teachings of Father. So now I'm accountable. I'm in the external narrative of the world. I can see duality because that's part of mother's teaching because she needs to do the comparisons, good, evil, right, wrong, all of this black and white. That's what she's teaching you is how the system of duality is so that you can rouse them awake when they're a child. Children don't need to be sleeping. We need to rouse them awake. Can you imagine the foundation, how much it would be different if our children were awake? Then when they get past the age of 12 of accountability, they get into the intimacy training. So they can intimately know themselves. How much better would it be if you intimately know yourselves in order to expose the intimacy side to your partner? When there's no shame, there's no guilt, there's nothing being held back because you are the essence of all the unseen. You are one within yourself. You are transparent. You are light. You are illuminated.
It's a lot of victory stories.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So the power of this, and this is where we come into play. We become this. This is the Shemesh. I'm going to land the plane on this. This is the Shemesh. Sheen, Mem, Sheen.
Sheen,
Mem,
Mem,
Sheen.
Sheen.
Yep.
Okay.
Sheen, Mem, Sheen. This
How do you spell?
S-H-I-N. M-E-M. Sheen, Mem, Sheen.
the Shemesh. You hardly ever hear this word because everybody's been focused on the Melchizedek priesthood.
Shemesh.
Shemesh.
That's what Shemesh.
Shemesh.
How it's spelled how it
If
sounds.
you transliterated it, it would be S-H-A-M-E-S-H. Shemesh.
Shemesh.
The reason why I wanted to bring this up to you is because this is the priesthood that we're talking about going into. So Melchizedek has been around for a very long time. And yes, Melchizedek teaches mother. Shemesh teaches father. Now I'm going to connect it to one more thing. So this word, when you translate it, if you look at the meanings of it, means son, as in S-U-N, the son. But it also means servant, priest, prophet, and messenger. AKA teacher. This also means teacher. So when we enter into this position as the son, as a minister of the son, as one who is a minister of father. So again, think about how intense the sun is. You're no longer of the dark because really Melchizedek is connected to the moon and Shemesh is connected to the sun. Mother is moon, meaning the divine masculine. Even though I'm going to have people argue with me because they're going to say the moonlight is feminine. Well, yes, the moon is feminine, that is mother, but it's teaching the divine masculine. And that's where they argue with me. And it's like, well, that's okay. Argue away. I will agree with you. It's mother. This is father. Moon is mother, but it's teaching you divine masculine. And we've had plenty of that. It just got inverted. So we need to rewrite everything. So the Shemesh, you have two sheens. You have one of mother and you have one of father. And then you have water right here in the middle. So you've got the mother energy, you've got the father energy, you've got this consuming nature, and then you have water right in the middle. How much of our body is made up of water?
Large.
Like 80%.
Mhm.
Mem is right in the middle. This mem right here, this is an open mem, but behind is the closed mem. This is the waters of chaos versus the waters of shalom. So when the sun energy comes in, it's trying to take your chaos and turn it to peace. This is entropic, and then the closed one is negentropic. So when you're entropic, you're leaking energy. When you're negentropic, you're creating energy. You're not losing energy, you're making energy. So if we take a look at it, it's like when you go off grid and you start having solar panel and your house starts creating energy and you put it into the grid, the power company has to pay you. As we're talking about. So we're giving off the energy of the sun because we're making it. And it's because we've joined with the energy of the frequency of mother and father that are changing our chaos into order. We become a servant. We become a priest. We become a prophet. We become a messenger. And you know what this word messenger is? Angel. This is a cherubim going into the seraphim, the burning messengers. Buddy, you're just having a hard time today. He's like, these energies are a little too much for me. I don't know what's going on, but I've had way too much to do. Did they spike my water? So this is angel morphology. This is how we go above and beyond the Melchizedek priesthood to embrace what we were to do, the only way to do it is through the Aleph Tav. The sacred languages is what takes us here. You can't do it through English. I'm sorry. And I'll have people that'll go, and they'll whine at me. And it's like, you know what? This is a high calling. The masses aren't going to be this.
Mm-hmm.
This is for those who are willing to walk the narrow path that few find. There's a reason why that is few. So why is that important? Well, we're called to be the light of the world, right? Right? We're to be
Mhm.
called the
Yeah.
light of the world.
Mhm.
You know what that is?
Yeah. The
menorah.
mm,
Let's do it this way. I don't want to put the word or. This is the menorah. You enter in through the waters of chaos. You found the seed of life that gave you the revelation to raise yourself up to become one. Through this is the word or. It means light. And nahar means to sparkle, to shine, to have a sheen. This right here, the reason why I drew this, the center candle that lights the rest is called the shemesh.
Wow.
This lampstand are your chakras,
Mhm.
the 7 chakras that were within the human body.
And
And this one, the 4th one, the green ray, is the heart.
yeah, that's what I was about to the myth, because you said I guess I was going back to the Lamed, that was the center, but Lamed broken down was the Shemesh.
So the lamed is connected to light. And so yes, it is connected to shemesh. And it's right in the
Right there,
center
yeah.
of the languages of Hebrew and Aramaic, which is the center candle, which is a burning heart that lights the rest of the chakras and becomes the light of the world.
Boom.
So all of this, starting out with Aleph, to show you where we are headed, because without a clear vision, my people perish.
Boom.
If you don't have a yod, I just presented you a yod.
yeah.
My gift to you is a vision that I'm reaching out to you, that I am giving you, saying through the work and deed of our own hands, I am giving this to you. Are you willing to take that vision and do something with it? Are you willing to be the light of the world? Are you willing to be a candlestick, one that goes and lights other because you have a burning heart, a flaming heart that's part of the power of the sun?
Wow.
Are you willing to be a minister of the flame of the heart? It all starts with Aleph.
Wow.
It's choosing to take the first step through the language and seeing the power of the Aleph and realizing the journey is there to be had for you if you're willing to accept it. And if you say, here I am, pick me, send me, then you know that the journey starts with the Aleph and it finishes at the top, but it just starts again at the Aleph because you complete the journey and then you start again now as Aleph. You are the essence of the unseen. You completed the journey. You are one with God as God. You are a strong leader. You are the strength of your higher self, your lower self that have been connected all together. You have completed it. You are in new beginnings. You found life abundantly. And then you teach it to somebody else. You become the Aleph to them. So it's very interesting. The very first word in the sacred writings is a bet. It's not an Aleph. Because the Aleph is unseen. It's the unseen of the essence of everything that is everywhere and nowhere, but is calling to us. So the very first word is Barashit. And we've done a teaching on this before. And tomorrow I would like to share the Barashit with you. But I will just say this. In the beginning, build. Choose, build.
Wow.
Choose, build through the essence of the unseen that is everywhere and nowhere. Because you are it. So the whole journey is to discover, to take you back to the beginning, to reveal the rest of the iceberg to you of who you really are. See, we get this intellectually. We're like, yeah, we're one with everything. We get it intellectually. But when you experience it, this is the Hebrew word da'at. It means experiential, intimate knowledge. And that's right here. You are changed. And nobody can ever take it.
Yeah.
Because you are it. It's like, how can I explain this to you? It's ineffable. I became it. I experienced it. I can show you the steps, Aleph through the Tav, but until you do the journey yourself, I can only explain it through a pattern, through a blueprint. This is how you do it. But until you actually become it, the only thing that you can do on the outside is experience the frequency of someone who's done it. Because out of their heart comes forth living water that brings forth life. And they speak it with authority. It's not like I'm reading something from a book and I'm repeating it, or I went to a seminar and I heard somebody get up and speak and I'm just a minor bird. I'm taking their phrases to make it sound like I'm spiritual. Because when you're in the room with somebody who's done this, and I'm not saying that I've done it yet, guys. I'm saying that I have a very big picture of what's going on and I have been changed, but I'm not saying that I'm it yet because I still have more to go. But when you're in a room with somebody that has said it, nothing needs to be said because they are the essence of the all. They have to say no thing. They just walk in and the room shifts. That's when you know that somebody has found that power because they became it. And it wasn't just given to them. They had to work their asses off for it. They had to face the hard thing. They had to go through the shadow. They had to face the stuff that nobody else wants to face. So people want the power. They want the authority, but it's a very integrous walk and it costs you everything because you have to give up everything in order to find everything. And that's what the blueprint of the letters do. And that's why I wanted to share this with you because this is so profound because this is the call that is going out for those who want to do this. I sigh because I'm like, I know what the journey was because we did it. We're still in the process of doing it. So all we're doing is saying, hey, come join. This is what it looks like. Got to present the vision first so you know where you're headed.
Wow. Thank you.
You are welcome.
That was awesome. That's awesome.
Namaste.
Namaste.